In terms of some of the techniques and the tips, apart from the issues around eye contact and trying not to intervene, sometimes it's really hard when, especially if you're quite an experienced practitioner, it's very hard not to give suggestions. It's very hard to stand back and just observe, but you see so much more when you do that. And just a short period of that can show you much more than you would see if you were busy in the environment working with individuals across that same length of time. And really, it's really important to get as good a picture as possible by looking at as many people as you can when you're observing. Because actually what you're focusing on for the most part is the overall picture that you see in the service. We're not here necessarily talking about clinical observations where you're focusing on one individual for a long period of time, but you're trying to get a picture of what's happening in the service. So trying to make sure you see as many people as you can, but to get enough information on each one is a balance that you strike when you're observing. We obviously don't observe people in general getting personal care. If they're in their room and they're likely to be sleeping or having personal care or doing an activity that would be very much disrupted if you open the door to join in, then we generally don't do that. We observe in more public areas within the environment, unless it's clear, for example, that somebody was going to clean the bathroom because they had the mop and the bucket in their hand or the cleaning equipment, then we would ask to be able to observe them while they do that. If you're observing as a manager, as a practice leader, for example, so you're from within the service, then you have to be quite disciplined in terms of turning on the answering machine and not allowing things to disrupt your chance to stand back and observe what's happening. The other thing, of course, is very common sense things like, watch the shoes that you wear, soft shoes, so you don't make lots of noise. Find out before you go if there's anything you shouldn't do in terms of clothing or how you speak to people, for example, when you come in and greet them, and sort of not having lots and lots of kind of books and paperwork carrying around with you, trying to be as unobtrusive as possible, blending into the background. Simple things like how you dress might be important. Don't wear strong perfume. Generally don't wear very kind of eye-catching jewelry, because inevitably that might mean that somebody comes up to try and look at it. And all of those things that are really common sense are important for a good, successful observation. And take good notes as you do it, but then afterwards spend some time structuring what you've seen using the tools that are available to you, so that you can give feedback, for example, that is well structured and that is clear for people.